Hi guys, welcome to my channel, Practical Reefer. My name is Mark and I just wanted to introduce the channel and a little bit about myself. The channel will include some product reviews and tips and discussion as I share my experience and results in a step-by-step guide setting up a practical, simple and budget-friendly reef, which will include absolutely everything down to the last detail that a beginner would need to run a reef tank for a whole year for £500. So that's this kit that you see here. I've pretty much got everything in this picture, or in this scene that we've got behind me. Bit about me, I've kept freshwater fish for around 10 years in my teenage years. Planted community tanks, lots of live bearers, and then some cichlid species only tanks that bred some angelfish and some crebensis and stuff like that. Quite enjoyed that. Went off to college, moved out, kept a couple of small tanks, but then kind of came away about 12 or 13 years ago. After I moved up to Aberdeen, I got the idea for a marine aquarium, and I got my book back in the day. Got this book, spent quite a lot of time in not my local fish store, but one that was between me and Kirkcaldy and where I was on at the time in Aberdeen, which was in Cooper, which is Ultimate Discount Aquatics. Massive store, great selection, loads of kit, but it's long closed now. But what I did end up getting was the Red Sea Max. I think it's the 130D. It was the original, or one of the very early all-in-ones. It was a great tank, had good filtration on it. I really like the twin return pumps. A lot of all-in-ones don't have that now. So if if your return pump fails, then your filtration's cut off from your tank. But this had the two, which was nice. Saved up in a power head in the tank as well. With soft coral, we've got away with quite a lot. What wasn't great about it was the very nice, sleek, tight-fitting lid. Even with the two little 55-watt T5s, it cooked the tank. It was always, even with the heater off, it was over temperature. So within a few weeks, I was straight back, and I needed to spend £200-300 on a chiller for my £600 tank, and that's where it started to escalate, which is kind of always the way with this hobby, and which is something I'm maybe trying to avoid here with a sort of, showing people how I've done it and everything that we need. I kept, I think it was a clown, a damsel, scooter blenny, which research now says, they're maybe a little bit difficult to keep in terms of, needing lots of pods and stuff, but with live rock of old that I got at the time, it was easy to set up the tank. I had loads of pods. It was amphipod. Even before I could stock it, I had loads of stuff running about the tank. It was great. I love watching the amphipods and things, and it was something that stayed there. So you have plenty to eat. So I was pretty happy with that. A few yellow polyps, GSB. There was some macroalgae that came with the live rock, and then I added some hermits in there, trochus snails, and there wasn't much battling. I didn't lose any snails to the hermits, which is something you read about now, just to be careful. And I had a cleaner shrimp, which was full of character as well. But yeah, it was pretty good. It was I was in a rented accommodation and I lived there for a couple of years, so that got broken down and moved back here, which 10 years later, I've been in this house 10 years now, so I had a little fish tank at one point, but it wasn't really enjoyable. It was just a little small thing at the time that just wasn't, that wasn't excited about. I was really busy with work and stuff as well, but now things have calmed down. So the reason for the channel is that in the last year I decided to get back into reefing. I'm going to be doing a 20-gallon office tank build, which my desk is just out of shot there, where I spend my Monday to Fridays due to COVID and not being able to go into our office. What did happen is about 6 months ago I bought a 50-gallon full-on reef tank, sump, AI primes, wave maker. It was about £2.5 worth of kit, but I got it second hand for about £800. And then started to realise that I need a new roof, rip out chimney, an old back boiler, fit a combi boiler. I'm going to rip my whole living room right back to brick, rewire it. It's it's a 1958 house, so I'm not setting up half a ton of delicate reef tank to then have to move it. It's not going to be enjoyable for me. It's not going to be great for the inhabitants of the tank. So it doesn't make sense to set that up. But I got the bug like 9 months ago. Spent 3 months researching that tank, bought it, and then slowly came to the realisation that the 50-gallon, probably not, and I'd rather not set it upstairs tucked away, but then this would be perfect for my office. A nice size, don't have to lug too much water up doing a water change on a 20 gallon, as opposed to the 50, which gets a little bit bigger. So why a channel? There's something that's changed incredibly since my wee book and chatting to the fish store people, which there's not as many good fish stores near me now. It's maybe there are, but maybe the employer, you're kind of basing it off of hoping that person's really good at what they do, whereas it's big thing now is like YouTube as well. I've spent hundreds of hours on YouTube. I'm pretty sure I've completed BRS TV, the 5-minute guides, the 60-minute guide, and all sorts. I've watched hundreds of different videos on BRS alone, on all sorts of different aspects of maybe a smaller tank or a big tank with a sump, a few germs, all that sort of stuff. So and with a little bit of experience, I just kind of started planning, and a spreadsheet appeared on my computer, and I just started to plan absolutely every little thing I thought I would need, because there's loads, and it needed planning. I couldn't just go out on a whim, and I wanted to do it right, and when the 50 gallon got put on hold, so the build's going to be everything a beginner would need, in a sort of guide format, and I find a lot of builds you kind of see on YouTube, or someone will be like, oh, here's a kit, or this is I'll do a little 10 gallon build, or I'll do a 20 gallon, and they kind of show you like a tank, a light, a filter, some sand and some rock, maybe a few other bits and pieces, you'll need a hydrometer and you'll need some salt, but there's loads of other little pieces, and even some of those pieces I mentioned there, they don't even get, they don't get mentioned on these builds. So kind of went to the point where it sometimes gets stressful for people as well. They've followed a few guides on YouTube, or they've looked at a list of things they would need, spent quite a bit of money, and it's not a cheap hobby. You can't make it cheap. It's going to be hundreds of pounds. But then they've bought all these things, and then they start getting stressed out because actually they need X, Y, and Z. They need all these different things that they didn't know about. So this is kind of like a really good foot in the door. It's not the cheapest of the cheap, like the test kits are Salafair, Dr. Tim's one and only, which is kind of the industry lead in that. It's not an expensive product, but there are cheaper ones. Some of the stuff is cheaper, but it's kind of well used. It's kind of proven kit. So the idea was to share my experience and my results as I use this stuff. If it goes wrong, then it goes wrong, but I don't expect it to. I've put a lot of work and effort into researching all these bits and pieces, and the majority of it's good quality kit, and a lot of it is brand new as well, so there'll be warranties and things on it. Some of the stuff can be upgraded as well. It's easy enough to upgrade some of the stuff, or some of it can be done a little bit cheaper. Some of it you can not bother buying if that's what you want to do, but it'll show everything that you need for a healthy soft coral reef tank. It's not going into LPS, SPS and stuff like that. You will be able to keep some of those, I've no doubt. But the main point is to make sure that the fish, corals and inverts are all looked after, and to do that for £500, and that's for the whole year. So there's, in the big tub at the top there is about 4 metres of filter floss, and I've kind of worked it out that should do for a year. There's a couple of kilos of carbon, which if you need it, shouldn't really need it day to day, but we'll go into that. But there's plenty there. Other bits and pieces, there's tests that'll do you a year, no problem. So there's plenty stuff there. So it's not just here's your little kit. Well, we can do this for $150 or £150, and then it's like actually I need every week you're then having to buy another piece of kit to keep you going. And as well, it doesn't include livestock, because you could go out tomorrow and buy a clownfish, like a fancy morph for like £500, or you could go out and spend £20 on a really nice healthy standard version, or the original, the OG clownfish as it were. I've bred birds for the last 10 years. That's what I kind of somehow fell into when I moved into this house. I built a big aviary and stuff, and sometimes breeding for colour doesn't always breed the healthiest birds. I've bred some albinos in the past, and they've not been the healthiest. I didn't breed them on purpose. It was happened to be that the parents were both split for that, and they happened to produce an albino, which was quite exciting, but it only lived a few months, and it's a total shame. Whereas the normal green, or whatever colour bird that was, it was a parrot. The green one lives for 10, 15, 20 years. But the albino, which a lot of people maybe chase, and it is nice, it's something a bit different, but it's not always the healthiest option. So I mean, all this kit's brand new. It does involve maybe waiting for like a sale on some of the stuff, but only by 10%. And some of the stuff, shopping about, but I'll show you where I got it and what I paid for it. I bought some of the stuff just before New Year, which is a bit disappointing with Brexit. I noticed some stuff that I was looking at that maybe isn't included in this. I was looking at a black box Reef light that was £73 on eBay. It was the Fleas on 165 watt. It's now 122, so it's went from 73 up £50. Hopefully in 6 months' time that comes back down. It's not included in this, but it's an option, which I know a lot of people use well, and I was, that's potentially something that could be an upgrade. But it'll be a good solid foot in the door for a reef tank, and it'll be a week by week process, so you could actually follow it in the same order that I'm doing it. So the first couple of weeks I'm not actually going to go over the kit that's here. I'm going to go over a couple of things like doing the rockscape. I'm actually going to try using natural seawater as well. A lot of people use it. I've seen loads of it on Facebook. There's groups for it, but there's not a lot on the process of collecting. And there's a couple of websites, a couple of mentions on YouTube. Not a lot, but I'm going to show you how I plan to do it, and I'll show you the results over time. If something isn't quite right, they'll be trying to maybe filter it a little bit, or make sure we try and avoid things that are not good for the time. But generally, it seems to be. I've seen enough anecdotal evidence that it's good, but maybe a lot of these people aren't on YouTube, whereas a lot of these people are maybe on Facebook, and I've seen loads of photos and videos and hundreds of people using it. So, and I've done a lot of reading up on it, because it's something I totally strayed away from at first, but I started to read into it more, and I'm pretty confident that it'll be good. But so why the channel, or why Practical Reefer is the name of the channel, is that I want it to be just that. I want it to be practical and in reach of everyone. The priority is doing it right for the fish, corals and inverts, while also using affordable but proven and reliable equipment. Not just the cheapest possible. Some of the stuff here is definitely not the cheapest stuff that you can get. £500 I think might put some people off, because I've seen builds out there that it's £150, £200, maybe 300 or something like that. And it's also a 20 gallon. It's a decent size. You get a fair few fish in there, or a fair few. You've got options for fish. You can't have a lot of fish in it. And good practical and good maintenance is a key. It's not, you could throw loads of money at this and you could do less maintenance, but good maintenance is absolutely key. I don't think anyone can argue that. I'm going to be testing some ideas as well. So like the natural seawater, not so much of a test, but I think it's just going to maybe give some people some confidence in it, and I'll show you how I did it, and you can improve on it, and maybe I'll put a bit of a process together of how I collect it, and I'll show it in a video as well. And I've got a basic lighting option, which I expect will grow some soft corals, because at the end of the day they're only soft corals, they don't need the world of light. But it could potentially turn into a macroalgae tank, which is a great step in the door for people. But I think I will be growing, the plan is to grow corals in this. If not, we may have to change the lighting a little bit, but I think we'll get away with what I've got there. Looking forward to showing people that it's an unusual option I've read a lot about online, but it's not well documented again, so it's a bit of a test for me, and to see if it works. It'll definitely be enough for the fish and some macroalgae, and then the test is to see if it works fine with corals and how it looks as well. But it is a basic option, but it's very affordable, and at the end of the day you'll still have a good running tank. But it's, can we do corals? That's the question that I hope to answer with that later on. And I want a solid answer on it, instead of just kind of people saying, yeah, that'll work, that should be fine. I need to put a solid answer on that for me. So next week I'll be doing the scape for this. I've actually got a cardboard box just the size of this tank, or just a little bit smaller. So I've kind of got a scape that I've roughly made up. And I'll follow that on an episode of collecting the seawater, and then the scape will be going into a 30 litre container, which is included in the cost of all this. and I'll start cycling that for at least 4 weeks, while I then start doing a few other episodes of exactly what's included in all of this tank, or all of this kit, and a couple of bits of setting up, like spraying the back of the tank and setting up the filters. So yeah, I'm quite excited to get it set up. It'll be good to, we're going to be here another 6 months at least with COVID, and going forward I'm going to be working from home, I'd imagine at least a couple of days a week, because we've proved that we can do it, and it's a bit easier for me at times to work from home. So it's definitely something that, going forward, the tank's going to be here for a few years, and it'll help me setting up a bigger tank in the living room. Part of that work in the living room is that removing the chimney breast in the middle, which has an alcove either side, might involve me getting a bigger tank at some point, or being able to run pipe work and electrics behind there, so I can have a better setup when I do get a tank set up in the living room. So but I'm really excited for this. I've spent months planning this. There's been a lot of just little tweaks, and what do I need, what's this, and so yeah. What I will also say is that any video editing skills or production quality that you see on my channel will be learned from now on. It's not something I've ever done before. I've never had a channel, I've never made a lot of videos, I've done a little, taking some photos on my phone, and this has all been filmed on my phone, so it's not going to be fancy. I hope to improve it a little bit. I may buy a camera at some point, but I don't plan to spend huge amounts of money, because I've got things to do at my house. But I really do enjoy reef keeping and keeping aquariums in general, so happy to put a bit into this. And I expect there's potential that if it does cost a bit more, then I'll do that, and I'll record it and share it with you, and exactly what I'm needed. But this is the kit here. I don't think anything here's people are going to say is below par. It's pretty much all there. It's not the most expensive kit, but it's all decent quality, and it's well used, and I'm pretty excited to get going with it. But thanks for watching, guys. Look forward to putting up the rest of the videos and actually getting this set up and getting some water in it, rather than just money and time and rocks. It's going to be a couple of months that I'm going to be doing this. It's going to be a slow sort of week by week, so probably talking a couple of months before I start putting fish in this. But looking forward, guys. Give me a like and a subscribe subscribe below. Maybe some comments, and I hope you guys look forward to watching the series and seeing how this progresses. One thing just to include, actually, the only thing not included really would be the stand, and I'm probably going to be making a little hood just for filming and things that is going to block out light. So if I'm trying to take pictures of the tank, there will be a canopy above it and stuff. Probably going to make that out of scraps to start with, just to see how I like the sizing, and then I'll maybe make something a little bit nicer. There's a couple of quid there, a sheet of ply is maybe £20, and a few wooden bands. But the stand I had anyway, and guys, you've got bits of furniture, or you might have something that fits in with your room, so I wasn't going to go as far as that. But everything else that you've got here, including the plugs and the timers that you need for the lights and all your equipment that you're plugging in, there's plug sockets and things included in that £500 as well. So it is everything. But I'll go through that in the following videos, and thanks for watching, guys, and take care. Give me a subscribe and like below. I know I've said that already, but I had more to say. But thanks very much, guys. Cheers.